Hello everyone and welcome back. The three bullets that you're looking at in front of you there are all a 22-250. And while they look similar, they certainly perform differently, as you're about to find out. The bullet on the far left is a 45 grain jacketed hollow point by Winchester. In the middle, it's a 50 grain hollow point by Federal American Eagle, and on the far right is the 55 grain Winchester ballistic Silvertip. Now I have chronographed all of these off camera today, so we'll start by giving you the speed and energy numbers, and then we'll go right out into the field and we'll do some testing at a distance of 200 yards, and we'll be shooting some 25-pound blocks of clay with each of these to see how they do. Now when we do our testing, you're going to see one shot on all of these against a brown block of clay. I used the brown blocks of clay because that's what we have been using, and I wanted to keep the testing uniform. You will also see a shot against a different kind of clay with a little bit different texture. It'll be a white block of clay, and you'll see that shot when we do the 50 grain test. It's not that I'm trying to favor the 50 grain bullet or anything, but I had to try it out sooner or later, and I figure why waste perfectly good footage. So if you want to comment down below and let me know if you think that we should make the switch over to the white blocks or just stick with what we have been using, that'd be great. Other than that, if you like today's video, please remember to click the like button, do subscribe, and turn on the notifications icon if you haven't already done so. And as always, we're looking forward to your comments. And one final thought. Sometimes I say it because I'm sure, and other times I say it until I know. But regardless, I still say, the best is yet to come. Enjoy today's video, and I'll be working on the next one. Here are the numbers on the bullets that we'll be testing out there today. We're going to start by shooting the 45 grain jacketed hollow point by Winchester, ballistic coefficient 0.175. It has an advertised velocity at 4,000 feet per second. I have found that with a 23.8 inch barrel, when I chronograph it, they are easily exceeding their claim. I've got them coming in at 4,075 feet per second, so they're almost 2% better than what their claim is. Next, we're going to shoot the 50 grain jacketed hollow point by Federal American Eagle. Now they do have a little bit better ballistic coefficient. Not a lot, but a little. And I did find that it definitely helped out there at 200 yards. Their BC is 0.204. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker, but it was noticeable. Their advertised velocity, 3850 feet per second. When I chronographed those, I've got them coming in at 3818 feet per second. So they're just less than 1% below their box claim. So I'm sure if you were using like a 26 inch barrel, you would find that they're easily doing 3850 feet per second, maybe a little over that. Next, we're going to shoot the 55 grain Winchester ballistic Silvertip with a much better ballistic coefficient, BC 0.267. With these bullets at 200 yards, I had complete confidence that they would be basically not affected by wind in the least. And their velocity claim is 3680 feet per second. I found that that was pretty close to true, 3621 feet per second when I chronographed them. So they're about 1.5% below the manufacturer claim. Now this line right here will tell you your starting numbers for velocity and energy. But more importantly than that, how will these bullets be doing at 200 yards, because that's our testing distance today. The 45 grain jacketed hollow point, when it arrives, it should have a speed of about 2839 feet per second, yielding 805 foot-pounds of energy. Then when we test the 50 grain hollow point, it should have a speed of about 2795 feet per second, yielding 867 foot-pounds of energy. So almost the identical speed on those two at 200 yards, but still a slight edge to the 45 grain bullet at that distance. Next, we'll test the 55 grain Winchester ballistic Silvertip. That will be the speed leader at 200 yards. It will arrive with a speed of 2852 feet per second, delivering 993 foot-pounds of energy. Now, if it's easier to think of all of this in terms of a percentage, here you go. The 50 grain bullet will have 7.7% more energy at 200 yards than the 45 grain bullet will. The 55 grain ballistic Silvertip is going to have 14.5% more energy than the 50 grain bullet at that same distance. And it'll have 23.3% more energy than the 45 grain jacketed hollow point at that same distance. If you were to pull the bullets off of the casing, this is what you would see, just to kind of give you the size for each of them. Here are the bullets by themselves. On the far left, you're looking at the 45 grain jacketed hollow point, in the middle, the 50 grain hollow point, and on the far right, the 55 grain Winchester ballistic Silvertip. We'll be shooting at this 25-pound block of clay from a distance of 200 yards with a 22-250 using a 45 grain jacketed hollow point by Winchester. Walking up right now to the 25-pound block of clay that was just hit at a distance of 200 yards with a 22-250 using a 45 grain jacketed hollow point by Winchester. I'm not sure where I hit it. I think it was pretty close to dead center, maybe a half an inch below dead center. I'm not sure, but we'll take it. Quite a bit of damage there. Let me just kind of get you a close-up on this. You can see the size of this in relationship to the size of my hand. You can see that some of the pressure pushed that clay right through the crate. None of the bullet went through to the water jug. You can see where some more pressure tried to escape out the side. It tried to escape out the top. Water jug unharmed, back of the clay unharmed. Notice how it really blew the face out of the clay. It's a different angle here. I think this side maybe shows it a little better, how the face of it just got really pushed outward. Here's the back. We'll take a look at the bottom in a moment. All right, well, here's the underside of the block of clay that was just hit with that 45 grain jacketed hollow point 22-250. Definitely had some real pressure pushing downward on the clay as well. You can see it blew some of the bottom completely out of the clay also. We'll be shooting at this 25-pound block of clay from a distance of 200 yards using a 22-250 with a 50 grain hollow point by Federal American Eagle. Walking up right now to the 25-pound block of clay that was just hit at a distance of 200 yards with a 22-250 using a 50 grain hollow point by American Eagle. It looks like I hit it pretty much dead center, maybe about a half of an inch higher than I would have liked to have hit it, but I think we'll take it. It did not go through to the water jug. Just kind of put my hand in here just for sake of reference for the size of that cavity. Looking at the cavity from this side here, I mean, you can see that that energy just pretty much all got dumped into the clay. And then on the back side, water jugs are definitely unharmed. Nothing coming through at all. I don't even think anything came too close to coming through, honestly. maybe a small splinter of bullet right there. Well, I'm back with you now. I had a little bit of technical difficulty. Here's the bottom side of the clay that was just hit with that 50 grain hollow point 22-250 at 200 yards. We'll be shooting at this 25-pound block of clay from a distance of 200 yards with a 22-250 using a 50 grain hollow point from Federal American Eagle. Walking up right now to the 25-pound block of clay that was just hit at a distance of 200 yards with a 22-250 using a 50 grain hollow point from Federal American Eagle. You may hear a little bit of wind in the background, and I've certainly been competing with swirling winds today to make this shot. I think the accuracy was just a little bit left of dead center, but nevertheless, we certainly can see some damage on the clay. You can see right here where the energy tried to get out the top. You can see where it tried to get out the side. You can see where it mangled the front of the clay. The bullet tried to escape, or maybe the energy tried to escape out the back. Nothing came through the clay though. Here it is from another angle. On the bottom of the clay, we'll have that for you in a moment. At this point, I've pulled the block of clay apart just a little bit so that you can see what kind of a cavity is there. I can certainly fit my whole hand inside of the cavity, there's no doubt about that. And then from the bottom, here's what you're looking at on the bottom side of that block of clay. Now that I've just now opened up that 25-pound block of clay that was just hit with the 50 grain hollow point 22-250 from 200 yards, I thought it was worth one more walk-up attempt. This is a little more indicative of the damage that you might expect. You can certainly see the large cavity as you walk up to it, and you can certainly fit my hand right inside of there, no problem. We'll be shooting at this 25-pound block of clay from a distance of 200 yards with a 22-250 using the 55 grain Winchester ballistic Silvertip. Walking up right now to the 25-pound block of clay that was just hit at a distance of 200 yards with a 55 grain Winchester ballistic Silvertip from a 22-250. As we look on the ground, you can see the target itself was thrown about
maybe 15 yards from the block of clay. So unfortunately, I did not hit it dead center. I was probably about a ½ inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch lower than I would have liked to have been. But I still think we may have proved our point nonetheless. It looks like that, or at least part of the bullet did go through to the water jug. You can see right here some water coming out of there. We'll look inside of there in a moment to see if the core of that bullet is inside, which I think it probably is. The clay itself is on the ground, and we'll set that up here on the block in a moment. For the second time, we're walking up to the block of clay that was just hit at 200 yards with a 22-250 55 grain Winchester ballistic Silvertip. If the clay did not fall onto the ground, this is pretty much what you would have seen me walk up to. I've set the clay back up on the block and tried to recreate that for you as best I could. It's just a mess is what basically happened, and that's without perfect shot placement, to be honest with you. Had I hit it maybe 3/4 of an inch higher, who knows? Here it is from the back. The water jug, here's what the clay looks like from the back, and then from the bottom, not much bottom left to it, honestly. Let's look at this first water jug in line right behind the clay. It looks like there is some type of shrapnel inside of there. We'll see what we can pour out of there for you. And it does look like nothing went through to the second water jug behind it. Well, I have had a chance to weigh this core now. It weighs 9.9 grains.